Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Doug Show Live. Today, I'm going to talk about creating a six-figure funnel with digital products, and we're going to go over as much as we can. Let me know if you could hear me in the chat. I know a few folks are in already. And I got to say, today we're going to cover stuff that we've kind of been talking about over the last few years. I always mention it sort of offhand, like, hey, build an email list, sell your own products. That's kind of the way to go. And it's hard and it's a little bit scary. And I think that's one of the main reasons why people often don't do it, even though I've been talking about it. I'm going to point out some other folks, some friends of mine that have been talking about it for a long time as well. And even more so because of all the Google updates and AI changes over the last couple of years, changes to content websites. And it is, it's not a complicated set of algorithms or instructions, or the steps aren't that hard. Each one is fairly straightforward, but when you put it all together, it's a huge pain in the ass. It's not easy. I'll tell you that. So we're going to get into it. We'll cover as much as we can. I want to point out a couple things quickly. In the description, there are a few links. One, I go a little bit more in depth in a free download, a guide to find the right digital product for you. And basically, it kind of takes you through some questions you could ask yourself about what you like to do to understand what digital product might be a good fit for you to work on. So I think I can share that really quickly here without falling apart. Yeah, so it's not this one. Those are my notes. It's this one. So it goes through and asks you a few questions, pretty straightforward. And this gives away some of the stuff we're going to talk about here in a second. But basically, we're going to look at courses, software, Etsy printables and other printables, communities, ebooks, membership sites, webinars, and templates. We're not going to go over all of those, but we're going to go over quite a few. And I think that should point you in the right direction. But you could download this guide. You sign up for the email list, and just tags you, and you'll be sent this email with the link within a few minutes. It might take like 15 minutes. Sometimes it takes a few minutes for it to go through. Otherwise, I'll mention a couple other just links that are in there along the way. We're going to jump into it. And like I said, if you have any trouble hearing me or anything like that, let me know. I see David in the chat is there. What's going on? Good to see you. And we're just going to jump right into it, even though I know a lot of people will be coming to join the live stream as they get the notification. So leave a comment if you're coming in later or if you're watching the replay sometime in the future. Like I said, we're just going to jump into it. Basically, the idea here is digital products as your monetization. So that takes a piece of the puzzle out of it. A lot of people that watch this channel or similar channels, we're looking at SEO and affiliate marketing and potentially services, or starting an agency, having ads on your website, essentially a content website. But sometimes people splinter off and they end up creating an agency, maybe a link building agency, something like that. In this case, we're just talking digital products, of which there are a lot. We talk about a funnel. And for the people that are completely unfamiliar, the idea is you build up an audience with the top of the funnel, and it's wide. There's a few ways to do it, and I'll go over about 4 ways to build up your top of the funnel. And as it narrows down, you lose part of the audience. However, you're finding people that are interested in buying your product. So like I mentioned at the very top, we look at specific digital products. And if you download the questionnaire, link in the description, then it's very easy to see like, okay, I would like to create courses, for example. So you create your content in one of the top of the funnel places, one of the 4. You build your content so that hopefully it will attract leads, it'll attract people that may want to buy something from you in the future. You already know what your product is going to be, or at least you've thought about it and planned ahead of time, even though our plans will change as time goes on. And you get more information about your audience and just how things are going. Things may change a little bit, but you have an initial plan moving forward. So let's get into the 4 areas that you can do the top of the funnel. And that's the gist of it. Build an audience, it whittles down. Usually there's some marketing component, which can be a few different areas, but we will focus on email because that is the most independent. And the thumbnail for this video said a Google proof business. And in the niche site business, in the content site business, we know that Google has really hurt the content site industry and owners and people that were earning a living from their content site. Even if they had a full ecosystem of different content, if they were getting a chunk of their business, a chunk of their audience from Google, that's kind of gone. There's been talk in the last few weeks of potentially like Google backtracking and maybe changing some of the things that destroyed the industry. But I wouldn't hold your breath, and I wouldn't trust them either. So whatever they're saying, I wouldn't take any of the stuff they're saying seriously. And even if they were to backtrack and maybe give a lot of the traffic back to experts with smaller niche sites, I wouldn't trust that for very long because they may take it away. They're like, oh, you know what? We actually don't care about you guys. And that's the thing. Google doesn't care about you. We know that. None of the social media platforms do either. None of the platforms that you have a dependency on care about you. So that's why email is really important. That's why you need to focus on areas that you control where you can contact your audience directly. I'm not saying you can't use the other mechanisms. I'm on YouTube right now. That's a platform, but there's a risk and there's a dependency, and you really can't control much. You can't control much. And even if you're in the right and they have made a mistake, you might still be in a position where you can't do anything about it. So, number 1, top of the funnel. YouTube, that's probably my top pick right now, obviously. I'm heavily invested in YouTube. I've spent a lot of time on YouTube, so it's my favorite. I would say it's potentially one of the most independent as far as platforms that you could work on when you compare it to some of the other ones on the list here. YouTube is fairly independent. You kind of can operate on your own. Mistakes are made. Channels are shut down by accident. Shit happens. But overall, you deal with the algorithm. But in the long run, it does sort of cater. It's sort of a merit-based system where if the audience enjoys the content that you're creating and YouTube shows your video to people outside your audience, maybe closely related, and they like it, it will continue to expand your reach. So pretty merit-based. You can get into a situation of audience capture, which can get weird, so avoid that. You could burn out, all that kind of thing. But YouTube, pretty awesome. Pros, high engagement. It's visual content. You could build trust. If you're, doing a video like this, you could build trust with your audience, and it's kind of fun. It's video. So people are really engaged with it. Even if they're watching on their phone, they're paying attention. The cons, well, it does require video production, and that's a little bit difficult. The other con is you have to put yourself out there, and it is terrifying in general. And for some people, it's no big deal. For some people, like it really freaks them out. Even if, I mean, the fact is, if you publish videos, you're lucky if someone watches it and judges you. So, thanks for watching the video. As far as other pros, there's a high level of discoverability versus some of the other platforms that you could work on. And it could be, actually YouTube could be less depending on the platform that you might work on in the social media area, which is number 2 on the list. Quick note as far as someone who might be a good candidate for YouTube is creators who are comfortable on camera. You enjoy video content, or I will say, if you like photography, they're fairly closely related. And I was a hobbyist photographer for many years. And once the technology and the cameras and the tech got cheaper, like you can create really awesome video with, really just your phone. And this is an iPhone 10, by the way. I'm due for a new phone here before too long. Number 2, this is a big one and probably a lot of debate out there. I think some people would prefer social media because of the growth potential. And there's a huge opportunity for like viral video, viral content spreading, really attracting a big audience for quick engagement. I will say one of the big cons is it's hard to get people off the platforms. Platforms do not want you to pull their audience away and distract them on some other platform. And that's a give and take, a constant battle, because you do get access to a huge audience. However, the platform makes it difficult to get people off that. Some of the platforms are a little more friendly. Technically, YouTube, some portions of YouTube are considered social media. And from that standpoint, YouTube does make it easier to like put links in the description. Some of the other platforms don't make it easy to put links anywhere. You have to kind of go around, and I think that is a huge downside, but it's a give and take. You can't have everything. There's always trade-offs. Another con with social media is the treadmill of just continually producing content. I'm not a big social media fan, but people love it. The thing is, you have to keep producing content on an ongoing basis, and it can lead to burnout. You can create templates and systems and ways to offload some of the work from yourself, but in the long run, you have to keep producing it, and you will burn out. If you don't distance yourself from it, it can be pretty rough. For the folks that might be a good match, if you enjoy consuming social media and perhaps you produce some content and you really like engaging and I guess being part of the community, if you're even just a member, but you could engage quite a bit, you can really excel in it. And some people do a great job. I know there's a lot of chatter in various groups, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts even, but very competitive out there. But some people are sort of naturally good at it and they really enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, then stay away from it, even though a lot of people are saying, hey, this is one of the fastest ways to get started. The thing is, it is really difficult to get people off those platforms and to actually buy something. People do. I know folks that make a really good living from selling courses or services or maybe coaching from social media, but it's hard to get them off the platform. Another big pro is it's pretty fast to create the content depending on how you're doing it. A lot of people do prefer, from an audience standpoint, authentic, real videos. And that means not in a studio like this. It means using your phone. I mean, you can do it in a studio, but if you are creating it on your phone with the front-facing camera, that might actually do better than a highly produced video. And you could see this with maybe a influencer who has a big budget and they go over the top with overproduction, and they end up with not as good of a reach as if they just created it on their phone. So number 1, YouTube. Number 2, social media. There's a lot of different flavors. Number 3 would be podcasting. And I'm a big fan of podcast. I have my other 2 shows listed in the description if you want to check it out. One huge thing, builds authority. All right. So if you have a podcast, you can interview experts in your industry, outside your industry. It's really easy to start landing interviews, even if you only are a beginner, maybe even don't even have any episodes published yet. From a con standpoint, there's tons of pros, by the way, but from a con standpoint, it does require you to have some either expertise or the willingness to learn about audio. And there's not much. I mean, if you're I'm in my basement and it's a fairly quiet area and I have a decent microphone, but my other microphone that I used for years was an ATR 2100, and I just looked at it on Amazon and it was on sale for, I don't know, it was like 20% off or something. It was like $50, a brand new one, ATR 2100. It's an Audio Technica. Tim Ferriss mentions it as one of his. I've traveled with mine across the country. I used to do frequent interviews with a specific person, and I bought a microphone and I sent it to her to just have. Like, they're that inexpensive, and they're durable and they're cheap, and there's plenty of others that are comparable to that. So while you do have to have some thoughtfulness about your audio production, you can do it on the cheap. In this microphone that I'm using, this is a pro level microphone. It's a Shure MV7, and I think I bought it used for like $200. So $200 is not nothing, but I mean, these things basically will last, not forever, but they'll last for like 20 plus years. Shure is a very good company, as long as I don't kick the thing around or whatever. And usually it stays in the stand. I'm not traveling with this microphone. These are studio mics. They're not really meant to throw in your backpack and move around. I have another Shure over there, which you can't really see, but it's in my interview studio over there. That one is the SM58, which can be thrown around. Those are microphones that you probably see on stage all the time at concerts, at different venues. These microphones are pretty ubiquitous, and they've been around for, I'm not sure the actual time frame, but I would not be surprised if they're like a 50-year-old design and they're pretty much using the same metal casing and they're kind of bulletproof. So the cons for podcasting, this is the big one. Discoverability is a little bit harder. So if you're like me and you publish your podcast on YouTube, that does give you the opportunity for more discoverability. You might catch a break, and the algorithm on Spotify or Apple Podcasts might pick you up and share you around, but that's one of the hard parts with podcasting. We'll move on from here, and the next and last one, the fourth one, is blogs. So one of the issues with blogs, as many of you are already ahead of me here, is Google kind of killed search engine traffic to normal small websites, and it's not a rule across the board. I've talked to a few people that have actually, their business has grown significantly since the crazy updates starting in like March or so. And, they had some ups and downs, and right now, like, the algorithm is favoring their site, and you can build a blog. You can post in other places. You can sort of blog and post in a social media area like LinkedIn, depending on your business, that can work. So there is some kind of combo with these, but the issues with starting a blog and trying to build traffic is the fact that Google has throttled down and or killed content sites, and there's no real signs that they're going to change their way. All that we could hope for is like their market share. Well, this is me talking, right? It's just my opinion. Could be wrong. I can't tell the future. But the thing is, like, if they've screwed so many people over, there's no reason to trust them in the future. So even if things shift, you always have to have some Kevlar built in so that you can withstand whatever they're shooting at us. And that is what brings me to the next point, which is the marketing portion. So quick review for the people that just joined in. We have the funnel. We understand the products that we're probably going to sell. There is a guide to help you understand what digital product might be a good fit for you. There's a link in the description that's free. So if you go sign up, you'll be sent an email in a few minutes and you'll have a link to go check it out. And basically it'll point you in the right direction. So we have the funnel. There's about 4 main ways you can get traffic. There's more than that, but those are 4 main ways: YouTube, social media, podcasting, and blogs. I would say YouTube and social media are probably the ones you should focus on. And then you're building your audience. As you tighten up the funnel, you want them to get on your email list. Email marketing is fantastic. There's been a resurgence in the last year when people were struggling to, I guess, retain some of their revenue from their dwindling audience. And a lot of people were, pushing courses like, hey, get into this email marketing. But if you look and listen to the subtext of people like me, the guys at Authority Hacker, some of the other folks, Spencer at Niche Pursuits, Jared at, is it Weekend Growth? I forget his brand. You have Ricky at Income School. You have Alex at WP Eagle. We're selling some products and we have an email list. And while all of us at some point relied heavily on Google, as time went on, as our businesses have grown, we diversify. We kind of move some of the risk to other areas. There's always risk, right? But if you can spread it out, then you could withstand issues that you will inevitably run into. So with email marketing, it's a whole different topic. We could have a whole YouTube channel just on email marketing, but you want to get people on your list. You want to build trust with them. You want to give them helpful information and eventually market and sell something. That's the fastest way to say it. And from a meta standpoint, it is what I'm doing right here, right now. I'm telling you about something. I'm telling you could learn more if you download the free guide and you can sign up for the email list. That is exactly what I'm doing right here. In the examples that I'll give you in a few minutes, you will see that as well. So as you're going through this, as you're like learning and finding examples, like you could see this business model. And you've probably, if you're on email list, you've seen this time and time again on the other side, right? So you've been experiencing it. And the thing is, you can do it too. And all the shit that I'm talking about, this works for any industry. I was looking through my content on the channel here, and I interviewed someone it could have been a year ago. She does, I think it's a community and courses on fruit trees. And she planted trees in her neighborhood and they weren't that healthy. I can't remember all the story, but they weren't that healthy. So she started learning about how to keep trees healthy. So it was literally something that she was trying to figure out. And then she was like, well, I'm going to write about it and blog about it. And then eventually she wrote a book. She has courses and she does well. I'm trying to find, I think I published that. Yeah, it was about June last year or so. So again, it works across industries. A lot of us are so in deep, all these details of like other marketers. So we're just thinking of the obvious stuff of making money online or some marketing idea, but it can work for anything. My friend Matt Giovanisi, he has Swim University. He has actually a few examples, but he has courses in Ebooks, and he does really well with Swim University. So you could do it for swimming pools. You could do it for the fruit trees. You could do it for travel, right? That's a pretty hot topic. Alex over at WP Eagle, he is doing Estepona Life. So that is a travel/local based website. We have Tony Meritato, who's doing it for physical therapy. So email list. You build trust, and then eventually you market something, you provide helpful information, and it's fairly straightforward. By the way, the AI tools, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude with Anthropic over there, it makes it much easier to write emails that are engaging. You can just write down bullet points of what you want to cover, fill in some of your own thoughts. It could be kind of disjointed, horrible transitions. You could use those tools to clean it up and write it in a wonderful tone. You could put jokes in there. You can have haikus, whatever you want. All right. Like, it's so straightforward. So straightforward to get really good videos out there, or really good emails out by using the various AI tools. So let's talk about some of the specific digital products. And I guess before we even hit that, one of the main reasons why digital products are so great is the margins are so high. The issue with some of the more physical business models out there, let's say you're selling a physical good, even if you're doing drop shipping, the fact that somewhere these products are held in a warehouse and then they have to be shipped, and there's a whole supply chain thing happening, that cuts into your margin. Even if you don't have to buy the inventory, like if you have to buy the inventory, like that's your money sitting in a warehouse or in your garage or whatever. And basically you end up with a lot of capital tied up. Even with drop shipping, margins are lower because someone else is fulfilling and they're shipping stuff. Digital, your margins are extremely high. You have to use some kind of software typically. And, even if it's just, email marketing, then you still have to use some kind of software. The thing is, with courses or ebooks or other stuff, you create the product once, and then pretty much after that, you could sell it an infinite number of times, and there's virtually no additional cost. If you have a really giant email list, that can cost some money. But congratulations, you have a giant email list, so you should be able to earn some money from that. Now, when I was first getting started, the common knowledge, common wisdom that was passed around was you should be able to earn about $1 per email subscriber per month. That was what was spread around, again, the common wisdom. I think it depends highly on the industry you're in and the type of I guess, emails that you send and the type of marketing that you do and the amount of trust that you have with your audience. So if you have an audience mainly from social media and it's very surface level, you might not have a great deal of trust. If you built an audience with YouTube and a podcast, then there might be a lot more trust, because when people listen to a podcast, they really feel a strong connection with you. And I know that as a listener, and I know it as a podcast producer myself. So let's get into it. I feel like we have barely just enough time to move forward. Again, I'm going to give you specific examples so that you can go study the marketing and the funnels and all that. So one of my favorites is courses. I've done this. I've created several courses. If you go to courses.nichesiteproject.com, you can see a list of my courses, some of which I have retired. My most recent bigger flagship course was called Multi-Profit Site. I retired that about a year ago with all the changes with content sites and AI. I didn't feel confident that it was going to be a business model that was reliable moving forward. On top of that, I did not want to create AI related content for the course because I didn't know if there was going to be any longevity. Turns out there was very little longevity, about 6 months before all the bottom dropped out. Another one you could check out is Authority Hacker. So my friends over there, Authority Hacker, there's a link and you could check out the course that they have. It's an affiliate link. There's some affiliate links in here. And you can see they've shifted a little bit. And there's some recent episodes on their podcast and YouTube channel where they talk about more or less what I'm talking about here. And that is like, you have to shift the business model a little bit. Like all the skills that we've developed, like they're transferable, but you just have to reorient. And depending on the maturity of your content site, maybe you were already doing this, but you have to now go somewhere else to build the traffic or create partnerships or whatever. By the way, quick plug for Kajabi. That's the tool that I use for actually everything. I had a very complicated system in the past, and it was all Frankenstein together. I was using a lot of different tools, and it all worked most of the time, but when it broke, it was a real pain to troubleshoot it. And I moved to Kajabi because it does email marketing, funnels, it has a podcast on there, it has a community, it has one-on-one coaching, and I think it's a full marketing suite. I mean, I think there's a couple other things on there too, but I build my landing pages on there as well. So it just takes a few minutes to create, like the lead magnet that I created, and you can download the guide. Again, you could, from a meta perspective, you could see exactly what I'm doing. So Authority Hacker is in our space, right? So they talk about content websites and building an authority brand, more or less. But again, it goes outside of this. So I mentioned the tree expert, I mentioned Swim University and Matt Giovanisi, but on YouTube, one guy that I watch is Rhett Scholl, and he's a guitarist, and he has several courses. And there's whatever industry you're looking at, like you could find a YouTuber and you could find people creating courses. So Rhett, funny, I don't know Rhett. He seems like a cool guy, but funny thing, he's from Georgia. And when I saw some notes in his description and show notes, I was like, that guy lived, I think he maybe lived like 10 miles away from me. I lived all in the Atlanta area, but he lived very close to where I'm from, in the Gwinnett County area. And then I was in Dunwoody for many years as well. So courses, huge. Number 2 is software. And I'll point out Link Whisper. That is a tool that helps you build internal links and a lot more stuff too. There's a lot of great internal reporting. I am also an affiliate for that. My friend Spencer Hawes from Niche Pursuits created that tool. He also created software way back in the day called Longtail Pro, which is a keyword research tool. He sold it for a lot of money. I think he created a video. There's some weird stuff going on, but he created a video not too long ago about Longtail Pro. There are tons of opportunities, because if you have some problem and you're like, I'm going to try and solve my problem, which is what Spencer has done in those 2 cases at least. Basically, you could try to solve the problem. You could hire developers, of course, but if you have a small amount of coding knowledge or knowledge about software design, you could use the AI tools to get you moving in the right direction, which is absolutely crazy. I don't talk about it too much. I have a computer engineering degree, and I took many years of computer science classes, operating system design. I got into the nitty-gritty and hardware design as well. I eventually went into consulting, which didn't really suit me super well, but I learned a lot there. Anyway, the point is, if you have some idea about software and coding, you could develop your own stuff, and you probably can use the AI tools to get things in a pretty good spot, and probably maybe you hire someone else that has maybe front end design to polish it off if you need to. Number 3 is something very specific that I'll point out, and that's like Etsy printables. I did an interview with my good buddy Cody Berman, and there's a link here. I think he's like 26 or 27 now, but he's already a millionaire, smart dude, very smart, and really fun interviews that I have done with him. We talked about Etsy printables, and essentially the pro with going this specific is Etsy printables are digital, number 1, but Etsy is a marketplace. So people go there to go buy stuff. They don't go there to learn. They don't go there to, what's that other thing people do? They don't go there to read for enjoyment. They're going to go buy something. They could buy stuff for enjoyment. But the point is, people go there for a reason, and that's to spend money. So if you have a market that's already there wanting to buy something, then you don't have to go through the whole thing of like trying to convince them to buy something. So you can check out, actually there's like if you follow the link to the interview with Cody, you could hear some of the details, but also there's a link there for a free workshop if you want to check it out. So you literally can learn all about Etsy printables. Something related is the print on demand. So I actually have a print on demand Redbubble site. I can't remember why I used Redbubble. I think my friend was like, the t-shirts are really good there, but I think they're all pretty comparable, to be honest. But you can check out some of the photos that I've taken, some of the prints that are available, and a couple t-shirts. And I haven't spent really any time on it. Occasionally I'll sell a t-shirt, which blows my mind. But people buy them. People browse around and they buy them. So I only have like a couple shirts, and it makes me think like I actually have like on my notes app a bunch of ideas for t-shirts, and I'm like, I just need to create them. Like you can create them for free over on Canva. Same thing with the e-printables, right? You can create your graphics or whatever the printable is in Canva and then put it on Etsy to sell. Same thing with the print on demand stuff. Redbubble, there's a ton of other websites out there, but basically you can create it on Canva or your favorite software to create graphics and such. But Canva is like really inexpensive for the amount of power that you have, and you can print on demand. So it's a great way to not hold inventory yet still have a marketplace. Again, people go to Redbubble to go buy something. Next one, closely related with courses, that is communities. So typically communities will have an educational component, and that is typically courses within there. And great example, my friend Ricky over at Income School with Project 24. So really sort of classic example they had. I'm not sure how they've expanded it over time. I know in the last couple of months, people were upset about any courses related to like blogging, but they have like a full suite of like how to earn, like it's a brand building type situation. So there's a community. They have information on YouTube, which again, I highly emphasize is one of the great places to get started, and podcasting and other platforms that you can spend time on. And there's a huge amount of information. It's not just a blogging course. It's a community with courses to help build an online business, basically. So Project 24, great example of a community. Another one I'll point out, another guitar one, and I got a new guitar recently, so I'll show that off in a second. I haven't talked about it in a while, so maybe I have two to show you that we haven't seen yet. But YouTube channel called Fretboard Confidential. This guy is an acoustic fingerstyle guitarist primarily, and he does great videos. He's a great teacher. I think he has some courses on other platforms, but he started spending time on his own channel in his own community. And I think each month he does like a new focus. So that is one of the the downsides with a community is typically you need to keep adding more content. Sure, there's a community aspect, but you need to keep adding more educational content. The other sort of issue is with the community, got to keep the community going. So you do need the sort of a critical mass of community members so that they can sort of interact with each other. However, if you're a community builder, if you enjoy that, then it's perfect. If you like to connect people and, build the community, then it's perfect. Me, I dislike it. Not great at it, because I haven't spent the time, and it is a skill. So sure, like if you like communities, then it's a good approach. But if you're like, I want to like communities, but you don't, you can develop the skills. It's just a set of skills that you can work with. The great thing, one of the huge pros with a community, is you have like monthly recurring income, recurring revenue, MRR. So like I think David Hamburger at Fretboard Confidential is like $30 a month. So about $1 a day. And the thing is, you get a few dozen people signing up for that. Like that's a decent chunk of money. And if they're learning something new each month, like the guitar things are great because, you can give me the lessons, but it's not like I'm going to learn them immediately. I'm going to have to work on it for like a month, like whatever instrument it might be. So it takes a while to build the skill up. So, it takes me a month to work through the lessons. I haven't joined his course yet, but it takes people time to go through where maybe I master it in a month or so. That would be amazing. But maybe I learn it and I'm barely proficient in about a month, but then a new lesson rolls around. So I'm sticky and I want to stick around and keep learning. Next is ebooks and guides. So when I first got started, I created an ebook. They're still useful. They're still popular in certain areas. Probably depends on the topic area, but this could be perfect if you don't want to do a video course, which is a lot more time consuming. Typically, you still have to like write your scripts for a video course. So you kind of have to write an ebook anyway, but ebooks and guides are perfect. Those could be a little bit cheaper. They could actually still be quite expensive. I think it's perfect for people that don't want to create video, or maybe they're a little nervous to do so. Another one, which is somewhat related to the community, is membership type sites. So there might be, and I won't get into the details because I'm not sure that I fully understand, but like a community might have a little bit more of a conversational community, office hours, and just ways for the community to interact, where a membership site might be more like a catalog of courses, which now I'm just thinking, Internet Marketing Gold, they have, a community, but the main thing is there's like 50 courses there. And if you pay $50 a month, or I can't remember what the pricing is, but like you get all the courses and you can consume them, even though there is a community there. The main focus is more on the course material. Another digital product, which is a little bit different than courses, that would be workshops. So these would be like live workshops. Now, you might be wondering, why would someone do a live workshop versus creating a course? I did an interview with my friend Brian Feraldi a few weeks ago, and he's a financial YouTuber, and he's an author. He's a writer, author. But basically, they wanted to do the live workshops because it would be faster to sell and just get it out there, number one. But they wanted to do workshops for like a year plus, just so they could understand what the students, what the audience wanted, and understand immediately if they didn't cover something properly. So if you do a workshop and you go through the material and people have a lot of questions about a certain thing, you know that either you didn't cover it well, you need to add it, you need to add more details. And at the end of the day, Brian does want to create self-paced courses, but he wants to make sure that he has as much information as possible about what to include in the courses before he records them. So he does these live workshops. The other big thing is, like, again, you don't have to record stuff ahead of time. You do need to be able to run a live workshop. Maybe you need someone in the chat, you need an assistant to help out, but essentially you can implement faster. So someone perfect for workshops, these would be experts, people that could think on their feet, educators who are confident in live teaching and can handle live questions. So it's not for the faint of heart, but you could do it. You could do it, especially if you've taught live classes before. All right, and as we wrap up here, last one, you can sell templates and toolkits. So these can be business templates or marketing templates and toolkits. And quick, easy example is, people that sell Excel spreadsheets or some sort of a spreadsheet with calculators and a guide. So I know several examples, and there's if you search around for maybe like more complicated tutorials with Excel or Google Sheets, then you'll find these creators that say, oh, you want to create a budgeting spreadsheet, here's how you could do it, or you could buy mine below and it has these extra features and blah, blah, blah. So that's a classic example, but there's all sorts of different templates and toolkits. And this could be like a template for a website. Like, maybe that's not so popular now because you literally can probably go to ChatGPT and say, I want a landing page with this and that and the other thing, and you'll get like you'll get the code right there. It won't be perfect, but it'll be a good starting point. And the thing is, you could also do templates for like Canva or otherwise. So again, it works across many industries. And I just thought of another one. I'm renewing my PMP certification with the Project Management Institute. And it's been over 10 years at this point, but I bought project management templates from some website. I needed it for a freelance project I was doing a long time ago. And I was like, okay, I'll buy these. And I don't know, I paid $100, and it was like all the project management, the PMI style templates and documents that you need to start, execute, and complete a project. And it had all of them. So I didn't have to start from scratch, even though in my head I've used such documents before. But I was just like, I just want to buy some, and I could put in my information, put in the project information, and then it's super straightforward. Again, these days you could probably get pretty damn close using a tool like ChatGPT. But the thing is, like, you can create these templates with the aid of ChatGPT or another tool, and then you can fix them up, polish them off, and then you can sell them. Now, let's do a quick review. I'll hit some questions if people have them out there, but here's how the business model works. Yeah, the top of the funnel, you build your audience with either YouTube, social media, a podcast, or blogs. I would focus on YouTube and social media most likely. The marketing portion, highly recommend that you build an email list and you do email marketing for most of your sales. You can figure out which digital product is best suited to you by looking at the description here. There's a link so you can kind of look at some of the different digital products that are out there. Think about some questions that are listed there. Think about the answers to the questions for you personally, and you'll understand what is a good match for you. So if if you don't know anything about video, you don't want to create a video course, but you like writing, then you should probably aim towards the ones that don't require any video, maybe like an ebook. If you like to present, if you have taught live classes before and live workshops, maybe workshops are the perfect way to get started, and then you could branch out from there. None of these are independent. You could you can mix and match these, but like if you're just starting this, highly recommend you pick one that seems to be the best fit. So that is it for today. If you have any questions out there, let me know. I'll pause for a second. I promised that I would show a new guitar that I got. I just changed the strings this morning. So I got two, mostly an acoustic person, but I really like electrics, but they're so loud, and at least the old amp that I had, I got a much quieter amp. Okay, so I got an Epiphone Les Paul several months ago. Here, and I think it's from 2005, has like a nice top, and he upgraded the pickups to some 57 Classics. I think they're Gibson brand 57 Classics. And yeah, it's in great shape. There's just like some minor scratching, and yeah, really, really good shape. Like I said, circa 2005 or so, just a nick or two, which I kind of like to have something that has a nick or two. And I was set on guitars for a little while, but then, I always browse Craigslist just to see if there's a good deal out there. And I like Les Pauls. So I found this one listed for a good price. So this is a Les Paul Special, and it doesn't have the maple top, but it's a solid mahogany. So it's a flat top, a lot lighter, and it is a Gibson. It's actually a Gibson. So he had it listed fairly low, and I thought, well, I'll make him sort of not a low ball offer, but I'll negotiate a little bit. And he accepted it. And this one's from 2019. He was a touring musician. He played some gigs with it, but he was like, I have like 15 guitars. I was like, why are you selling it? He's like, I don't play it much, and I have like 15 guitars, but sounds great. So these have burst bucker pickups, so they're a little hotter than the classic 57s. This is a little bit lighter, and like I said, it's actually a Gibson, not the Epiphone version. So just showing off guitars. There's like 3 of you that care about that. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, and please download the free guide to help you understand what digital product might be good for you. If you want to see some real live examples of these different business models, check out Authority Hacker. So there's a link there. Check out Rhett Scholl. That goes to his YouTube channel. The Authority Hacker goes to their course, but you can have a look at their channel, and I think I haven't talked to those guys exactly. I just emailed them earlier today, but hopefully I'll be able to chat with them soon. But they're talking in a recent episode about essentially shifting and building a business that is not so reliant on Google. From a software standpoint, you can see an example over at Link Whisper. I've done interviews with Spencer about Link Whisper, so you could hear the details of that. You can look at the Printables workshop, which is linked in the interview with Cody Berman about the Etsy printables. You can go to Swim University to see Matt Giovanisi's website, and I think the link in the description is for a teardown that I did, because Matt shared the revenue and income from Swim University for a few years, and I think the video is from 2021, so things have changed, but it's a good chunk of money. From a community standpoint, you can check out Project 24 or Fretboard Confidential, another guitar website channel, that is. And finally, print on demand. You can go to my Redbubble site and see some of the the photos that I've taken and some t-shirts that I've designed over on Canva. Fairly straightforward. So thanks for checking it out. And if you're interested in making sure that you don't miss one of these live streams, you can sign up in the description somewhere. There's a link to be notified about these live streams. I send out an email, usually the morning of, sometimes the day before. But yeah, there's a link there. Get YouTube notifications. So thanks a lot, and we'll catch you next week.